Hello friends, does your fuel pump sound like a dying squirrel? If that's the case, I will show you how to fix this. So first of all, you want to remove the fuel pump clamp, which holds it on the frame. In order to do that, you remove both of the nuts. Then you're going to note the polarity of the fuel pump and you're going to remove its connectors. It's important to do this because sometimes they use the same connectors, which means that you can actually switch them around, which isn't that nice because you may switch up the polarity. Afterwards, you're going to remove the fuel hose clamps, and then you can actually pull them off the fuel pump, which allows you to fully remove it. Before removing the hoses though, I would highly recommend you to use some cutlery from your wife in order to cut the feed line off, in combination with a vice grip for example, so you won't spill gasoline everywhere. After this, we are going to speak a little bit about the root causes of this failure. So it's actually three things that could cause this. The first one is obvious, a bad fuel pump. The second one is a little bit more tricky. You may have some junk inside your gas tank which the fuel pump sucks in, and then it actually stays in the strainer of the feed side and it blocks it. Thus it causes cavitation of the fuel pump because it has to work really hard in order to get to this gasoline, which actually also lubricates it. In this case, if you catch it early, you can actually just clean the strainer and keep going. If you drove your van like this a lot, it may have caused some irreversible damage to the fuel pump though, due to the cavitation, because as I said, it actually makes the fuel pump work really hard. And in this case, you will obviously need to replace it. You will obviously have to ask yourself, why did it actually suck all this dirt in though? Is it rust? Is it something else? Because if it's rust, for example, you have a leak in your gas tank probably, which lets water in there, and then you need to reseal it and to replace the gas tank because it obviously got rusty. It may be some dirt from the gasoline itself, of course, which means that you can actually fix it by installing a pre-filter and cleaning the strainer if you didn't drive your van like this for a long time. But it may also happen if you install a new gas tank, which was the case in my case. In my case, it actually started when I replaced the fuel tank in order to convert it to EFI, which actually requires an electric fuel pump and a different fuel outlet. And it actually started because I got a black gas tank, as far as I know, because some Vanagon mechanics actually say that they only had this kind of problem with black aftermarket gas tanks. So if you replace yours, make sure to get a silver one. And it's probably due to some impurities in the manufacturing. Maybe it's a different factory, I don't know. But in my case, the feed pipe or the strainer was full of lint. And in the beginning, when I firstly installed it, when there was fuel, and when I removed the feed line without blocking it with something, fuel wasn't actually coming out of there, which means that it was obviously blocked. It was maybe dripping just a little bit, but you want to have a constant flow, a really good flow when you remove it. So this is actually one thing you need to check when you have this type of problem, because if you see that no fuel actually flows out of the gas tank itself, even though there is fuel inside of that, it means that your gas tank is faulty and you need to replace it, or maybe try to clean it somehow with compressed air, I don't know. I mean, it's worth a try considering the hassle a replacement is. But if you don't see a steady flow out of the gas tank when you remove the feed line, then you need to replace it because it actually starves your fuel pump of fuel, which will damage it, and then you will go to fuel pump after fuel pump after fuel pump. You will spend a lot of money and the problem will be still there. After checking for these things, you will actually continue with the installation of the fuel pump. In order to do that, you will put it back in the mount and loosely mount it. Then you can actually tighten the feed line. Going to replace the fuel filter after unscrewing the bolt which holds it on the mount. Then we are going to remove the clamps which hold the hoses on there. We will replace the fuel filter. Note that the arrows show to the back of the engine or to the engine. Then we will adjust it so that the marking on the side, or better said the line, is towards the end of the mount itself, which means that it's in the proper location. Then we are going to reattach all the hoses, all the wires. Then we are going to check our clamps again, that they're nice and tight. We don't want any leaks, of course. We are going to tighten the fuel pump mount. And then we are going to start the engine to see if the problem has been fixed. It would be also great if you take a look under the van to make sure that there aren't any leaks. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it a lot if you like, share and subscribe. And if you want to support me, you can do so by clicking on the link below, which brings you to my Patreon, for example. Becoming a member would mean a lot to me because creating videos needs a lot of time and money. Thus, it would actually help me create more and better content. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video and I wish you a nice day. Bye!